Why is it that two people can face the very same illness, and yet their journeys turn out so differently? One person recovers quickly, sometimes almost miraculously. The other struggles for months, even years, trying treatment after treatment, seeing the best doctors, taking the strongest medicines, yet nothing seems to work. It's a mystery we've all witnessed in some way. Maybe you've seen a loved one suffer endlessly, while another bounced back with surprising ease. Or maybe you've experienced it yourself, watching others heal while you remain stuck, wondering, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get better? This question, why do some heal and others do not, has haunted both patients and doctors, scientists and spiritual teachers for centuries. And yet in our modern world, we often miss the most obvious answer. The difference is not always in the medicine, the treatment, or the hospital. Sometimes the difference lies within. It lies in how we relate to our own bodies. It lies in whether we listen or whether we turn away. The modern dilemma, a world that ignores the body. We live in a time of extraordinary advancement. In America and across Europe, medical science has reached heights unimaginable a century ago. We can replace hearts, restore vision, transplant organs, even edit genes. And yet paradoxically, people are sicker, more anxious, more exhausted than ever before. Take a look around. Rates of anxiety and depression are skyrocketing. Chronic illnesses from autoimmune disorders to diabetes continue to rise. Stress-related conditions like burnout and insomnia are now everyday struggles for millions. We spend billions each year on healthcare, supplements, wellness, gadgets, and miracle cures. Yet many of us still wake up tired, go through the day drained, and lie down at night restless. Why is this? Part of the answer lies in the culture we live in. In the West especially, we are trained from an early age to see the body as a machine that can be pushed, optimized, and fixed when broken. If there's a problem, we want a pill. If there's pain, we want a surgery. We approach healing as if it were a technical problem to be solved, rather than a relationship to be nurtured. But your body is not a machine. It is a living, breathing, feeling organism. It is you. And like any living being, it doesn't just need repair. It needs care, attention, and love. The culture of push through, let's be honest. Most of us have been taught to push through. Feeling tired, drink more coffee. Stressed, work harder, keep busy, don't stop. In pain, pop a painkiller and move on. This push-through mentality may seem admirable. It's often praised as strength, resilience, determination. But in truth, it's a silent war against ourselves. Every time we push through exhaustion, we send the message, my body's needs don't matter. Every time we numb pain without asking why it's there, we say, I don't have time for you. Every time we ignore the whispers of discomfort, we risk one day facing the screams of illness. We don't realize it, but this way of living is like ignoring the warning lights on your car's dashboard. At first, it's just a faint glow, easy to overlook. But keep driving without attention, and eventually the engine breaks down. The same is true of our bodies, a hook into your own life. So let me ask you directly, how many times have you felt pain and brushed it aside? How many times have you told yourself, it's nothing, it'll pass, even as the discomfort grew stronger? How many times have you been so busy chasing deadlines, goals, or appearances that you ignored the simple needs of rest, food, or emotional honesty? We've all done it. Some of you might be doing it right now. Listening to these words while your back aches, your shoulders tighten, your breath feels shallow, and still you tell yourself to just keep going. This is not a judgment. It is simply how most of us were taught to live. But it is also why so many of us remain unwell, no matter how advanced our medical systems become. Reframing the question. The real question is not, why am I sick? The deeper question is, what is my body trying to tell me? This is a radical shift in perspective. It moves us from seeing the body as a broken machine that needs fixing to seeing it as a loyal friend sending us messages. When we stop asking only, how do I get rid of this pain, and start asking, what is this pain telling me? Everything begins to change. A glimpse of the body's wisdom. Think about it, A stomachache may not only be about food, it may be about stress, about something in life you can't digest. A headache may not only be about tension, it may be about words left unspoken, truth swallowed. Fatigue may not only be about lack of sleep, it may be about carrying responsibilities that are not yours to carry. This way of listening does not reject modern medicine. Medicine is a gift, a miracle of human progress. But medicine alone cannot heal the wounds we refuse to acknowledge. Pills can numb a symptom, but they cannot resolve the grief locked in your chest, or the anger buried in your back, or the fear trapped in your gut. For that you need listening, you need presence, you need compassion for yourself, the invitation to a new way of relating. And so tonight, or whenever you hear this, I want to invite you into a different way of relating to your body, not as a problem to fix, not as a burden to carry, not as an obstacle in your path, but as your most faithful companion, your first home, your silent guardian, your oldest friend. Think of how many years your body has carried you. Every step you've ever taken, it has walked with you. Every tear you've ever shed, it has held you. Every laugh, every hug, every sleepless night, every moment of joy and heartbreak, your body has been there without complaint, doing its best to keep you alive. Even now, as you listen, your body is working, breathing, circulating blood, repairing cells without asking for thanks, without demanding recognition. And yet, how often do we stop to say thank you? How often do we pause to listen, to truly hear what our body is asking of us? The promise of this journey. This is why we begin here with listening. Because listening is the foundation of all healing. When you truly listen, you may discover that your pain is not your enemy. It is your teacher. When you truly listen, you may realize that your illness is not a punishment. It is an invitation to slow down, to grieve, to release, to transform. When you truly listen, you may find that your body holds wisdom far greater than any textbook, far older than any medical system. And so the promise of this journey is simple. Healing does not mean never being sick again. Healing means learning to live in harmony with your body, to hear its whispers before they become screams, to respond with care instead of resistance. This is not easy. It takes courage to sit with discomfort, to face emotions long buried, to change patterns of neglect. But it is possible. And more than that, it is necessary if we wish to truly live. Closing the opening chapter. So let us begin this journey together. Let us turn away from the endless noise of push through, from the constant chase of productivity and perfection. Let us turn inward toward the quiet, patient voice of the body, the voice that has been speaking to us all along. Because the truth is, your body doesn't need fixing. Your body needs listening. Your body needs love. And when you give it that love, you may discover that the healing you've been searching for has been within you all along. When was the last time you thought of your body, not as a tool, not as a machine, not even as a reflection in the mirror, but as a friend? For most of us, the thought barely crosses our mind. We've been conditioned to see our bodies as something separate from ourselves, a problem to fix, an object to improve, a project to work on, sometimes even an enemy to fight against. But let's pause for a moment and imagine something different. Imagine your body as a lifelong companion, a friend who has been with you since the moment you took your first breath. A friend who has never once abandoned you, no matter how poorly you treated them. A friend who communicates constantly, sometimes softly, sometimes urgently, always trying to protect you, always on your side. That friend is your body. The forgotten relationship. Think about the relationships in your life. With a spouse, a partner, a close friend, even a co-worker, you know that healthy relationships require listening, respect, and care. If you ignore a friend every time they speak, eventually they stop talking. If you dismiss your partner's feelings again and again, resentment builds. If you constantly demand and never give, the relationship breaks down. Now ask yourself, isn't that exactly how many of us treat our bodies? Asterisk. When the body whispers, "I'm tired," we drown it with caffeine and push harder. Asterisk. When it says, "I'm hungry for real nourishment," we silence it with sugar, fast food, or quick fixes. Asterisk. When it pleads, "I need rest, I need stillness," we keep scrolling, keep working, keep running until it collapses. And then when the body finally screams through chronic illness, through burnout, through breakdown, we feel betrayed. We ask, why is my body failing me? But the truth is, it never failed you. It was speaking to you all along. You just weren't listening. The silent loyalty of the body. Your body is perhaps the most loyal friend you will ever have. Consider this asterisk. Even when you deprive it of sleep, it keeps working. Asterisk. Even when you fill it with junk food, it keeps digesting. Asterisk. Even when you flood it with stress hormones day after day, it still finds ways to keep you alive. Asterisk. Even when you curse it in the mirror, criticizing its shape, its weight, its wrinkles, it quietly, faithfully serves you. If a friend treated you with this kind of loyalty, wouldn't you treasure them? Wouldn't you do everything to protect that friendship? And yet with our bodies, we often do the opposite. Why we turn against ourselves? Why do we treat our most loyal friend with such neglect? Part of the reason lies in culture. In the West, the body has long been objectified, judged by appearance, valued for productivity, measured by performance. From advertising that tells us we're never thin enough, young enough, muscular enough, to workplace cultures that reward overwork and punish rest, we've been taught that the body is never quite right. We internalize these messages until we begin to see the body as something to control, discipline, even punish. Asterisk. We over-exercise, not out of joy, but out of shame. Asterisk. We diet not out of love, but out of self-rejection. Asterisk. We ignore pain because vulnerability is seen as weakness. And beneath it all, we forget the most important truth: the body is not separate from you. It is you. To turn against your body is in fact to turn against yourself, a friend who speaks in signals. Every friend has a way of communicating. Some speak with words, some with gestures, some with silence. Your body also speaks, but in sensations. Pain, fatigue, tension, restlessness, cravings, these are not random inconveniences. They are the language of your body. They are signals guiding you toward balance, safety, healing. For example, asterisk. That tension in your shoulders after a stressful day. It's your body saying, "This weight is too much. Breathe. Let go." Asterisk. That knot in your stomach before a meeting, it's your body saying, "Something feels unsafe. Pay attention." Asterisk. That exhaustion even after a full night's sleep, it's your body saying the way you're living is draining more than just energy. Look deeper. But because we don't recognize this language, we dismiss it. We silence it with pills, with distraction, with denial. Imagine doing that to a friend, interrupting them every time they spoke, telling them their feelings don't matter. How long before that relationship collapses? Let me share an image with you. A man in his 42nd pushes himself relentlessly at work. Long hours, little sleep, constant stress. He feels tightness in his chest now and then, but ignores it. He says, "I'll deal with it later." Months pass, the tightness grows. One night he collapses with a heart attack. Was this sudden betrayal number? It was the body's final scream after years of being unheard. Or picture a young woman chasing the perfect body. She restricts food, over-exercises, criticizes herself daily. Her body becomes weaker, her cycles irregular, her energy gone. She thinks her body is failing her, but in truth her body has been loyal all along, doing everything it can to keep her alive despite the punishment. These are not rare stories. They are everywhere. Maybe in some way they are also your story. Rebuilding the relationship. The good news is that it's never too late. Just as with any friendship, relationships can be repaired. Healing can begin the moment you decide to listen again. Imagine sitting down with a friend you've neglected for years. At first they may be hesitant. They may not trust you right away. But if you keep showing up, keep listening, keep caring, the trust rebuilds. The bond deepens. The same is true with your body. When you pause to breathe, when you choose nourishing food, when you allow yourself to rest, when you respond to pain with curiosity instead of anger, you send a message: I am here. I am listening. Slowly, your body begins to soften. Slowly, it begins to trust. Slowly, it begins to heal. An invitation to gratitude. Perhaps the simplest way to begin rebuilding this friendship is gratitude. Take a moment right now to thank your body. Not in general, but specifically asterisk. Thank your feet for carrying you through countless miles. Thank your hands for holding, creating, comforting. Asterisk. Thank your lungs for every breath you've ever taken, even the ones you never noticed. Asterisk. Thank your heart for beating thousands of times every single day without your asking. Gratitude transforms the relationship. When you shift from criticizing to appreciating, from demanding to honoring, you begin to experience your body not as an obstacle but as an ally. closing this chapter. So let us return to the question, who is the most loyal friend you've ever had? It's not the person who never leaves your side. It's not the colleague, the partner, or even the pet you love. It is your body, always here, always serving, always communicating, always loyal. The only question is, will you listen? Because when you do, you may discover that your body was never the enemy. It was never broken. It was never against you. It was simply waiting for your presence, your kindness, your love. And in that moment of listening, the real journey of healing begins. We've spoken about the body as a loyal friend, always speaking to us, always guiding us. But maybe you're wondering, what does this actually look like in real life? What does it mean to listen to the body? How do the signals of the body connect to the deeper truths of our lives? The best way to answer is through stories, because stories show us what abstract ideas cannot. They bring the invisible into the visible. They help us recognize ourselves in the journeys of others. The woman with chest pain. There was once a woman in her early 40s. On the surface, she had everything: family, career, stability. But for years, she carried a sharp, suffocating pain in her chest. She went to doctors, specialists, hospitals. Every test came back clear. "You're healthy," they told her. "There's nothing wrong." And yet every evening, as the house grew quiet, the pain returned. Heavy, crushing. It felt as though her body was betraying her. One day, exhausted by years of searching for answers, she decided to stop running. She sat quietly, closed her eyes, and placed her hand over her chest. Instead of resisting the pain, she simply allowed herself to feel it. At first, there was only discomfort. But slowly, beneath the physical ache, another sensation arose: sorrow. A deep, heavy sorrow. Tears began to fall, and with them memories surfaced: the death of her father years ago, a loss she had never truly allowed herself to grieve. She had been strong for everyone else, never crying, never expressing her pain. Her grief had not disappeared. It had buried itself in her body. That night she wept for hours, and though the pain did not vanish instantly, something shifted. It softened, it loosened. Over time, as she continued to honor her grief, the chest pain that no doctor could explain began to fade. Her body had not been broken. It had been speaking, and grief was the language. The man with migraines. Consider another story: a man in his 30s, successful in his career, respected by colleagues. Yet he lived with debilitating migraines. They struck at the worst times: before presentations, during moments of conflict, in the middle of critical meetings. He tried everything: medication, special diets, alternative therapies. Nothing brought lasting relief. Eventually, through guided reflection, he noticed a pattern. The migraines always followed moments when he had swallowed his truth, when he wanted to speak but stayed silent, when he wanted to say no but said yes. Each time, he betrayed his own voice, pressure built inside him. His silence became pain pounding in his head. As he began experimenting with honesty, small, careful steps, at first the migraines changed. They grew less frequent, less severe. He discovered that each time he honored his truth, the pressure released. His body had not been punishing him. It had been protecting him, warning him, urging him to live authentically. The migraines were not random. They were signals pointing to the words he refused to speak. The executive and the burnout. There was also the story of a high-powered executive in New York. Her days were a blur of meetings, flights, deadlines. Sleep was a luxury, meals were rushed, her phone never left her hand. She told herself, this was success, this was the price of ambition. Until one morning she couldn't get out of bed. Her body refused. Exhaustion so deep it felt like paralysis. The doctors called it burnout. She called it betrayal. But as she rested, truly rested, for the first time in years, she began to realize something her body had been whispering all along. The constant fatigue, the irritability, the insomnia, the panic attacks, these were warning signs. She had ignored them, pushed through, silenced them with caffeine and sheer willpower. Her collapse was not sudden. It was the final scream of a body that had begged for rest again and again. And in that stillness she understood her body was not against her, it was saving her. Because had she continued unchecked, the next signal might not have been burnout, it might have been a heart attack. The athlete and the injury. Now imagine a young athlete, strong, disciplined, admired for his determination. He trained harder than anyone else, always pushing beyond limits. But then an injury, a torn muscle, a setback that forced him to stop. At first he was angry at his body, angry at fate. He saw the injury as weakness, failure. But with time he realized something deeper. The injury forced him to slow down to reflect. It showed him that his worth was not in constant performance. It taught him patience, humility, balance. Later he would say, "That injury was my greatest teacher. Without it, I might have destroyed my body entirely. It was my body's way of protecting me from myself." A common thread. What do these stories have in common? They remind us that symptoms are not random. They are not meaningless. They are messages. Asterisk. Chest pain can hold unexpressed grief. Asterisk. Migraines can carry unsaid words. Asterisk. Burnout can signal a life out of balance. Asterisk. Injuries can be teachers, forcing reflection. The body doesn't use words, it uses sensations. And behind every sensation there is a message waiting to be heard. Why stories matter? Why tell these stories? Because stories bypass our defenses. You might listen to your body and think, "That sounds nice, but it's not practical." Yet when you hear about someone whose grief lived in her chest, or someone whose silence turned into migraines, you recognize yourself. You remember your own aches, your own patterns. You begin to wonder, what is my body trying to say? This is the power of stories. They make the invisible visible. They remind us that behind every symptom there is a story, and often it's the story we've been avoiding. Underscore, 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 turning the lens inward. So let me ask you, what is the story your body might be telling? Asterisk. That persistent back pain. Could it be the weight of responsibilities you were never meant to carry? Asterisk. That tight throat. Could it be words you have swallowed, truths left unspoken? Asterisk. That constant fatigue. Could it be the life you are living that no longer fits who you are? These are not easy questions. They require honesty, vulnerability, courage. But they are the doorway to healing. Because when you uncover the story, the symptom begins to loosen. When you face the truth, the body no longer needs to shout. Closing this chapter. So the stories of others are not just theirs. They are mirrors, reflecting pieces of our own journey. The woman with chest pain, the man with migraines, the executive with burnout, the athlete with injury, they remind us that the body never betrays. It only speaks. It only protects. It only asks us to listen. And perhaps as you hear these words, you recognize something in yourself. A pain you've dismissed, a tension you've ignored, a fatigue you've pushed through. Maybe now, instead of seeing it as the enemy, you can ask, what is this trying to tell me? Because healing begins not when the symptom disappears, but when the message is received. And in that moment, your body stops being a battlefield and becomes your greatest teacher. Healing is one of those words we use often, but rarely stop to define. We say, I want to heal. I need to heal. Time heals all wounds. But what does it truly mean to heal? Is healing simply the absence of symptoms? Is it the moment when the pain disappears, the fatigue lifts, the illness is cured? If that's the case, then millions of people who live with chronic pain, long-term conditions or scars that never fully fade, does that mean they can never heal? I don't believe so. And neither do the great spiritual and medical traditions of the world. Healing is not the same as curing. Healing is deeper, gentler, more human. Healing begins when we change the way we relate to our pain, our body and ourselves. Principle 1: pain is not the enemy. The first principle of true healing is simple yet radical. Pain itself is not your enemy. This is hard to accept in a culture that treats pain as the ultimate problem. From the moment we're children, we're taught, if it hurts, stop it, kill it, fix it. We grow up believing that the only good body is a painless body. But look closely, and you'll see pain is not punishment. Pain is communication. It's the body's way of saying, something needs attention here. Think of a smoke alarm. Its shrill noise is unpleasant, sometimes maddening. But would you ever say the alarm is the enemy? Of course not. It's the fire you need to worry about. The alarm is your protector. The same is true with pain. The ache in your back, the tightness in your chest, the dizziness, the migraines, these are alarms. They are not the fire. They are the warning. When you silence them without listening, it's like pulling the battery out of the smoke alarm while the fire rages on. True healing begins when we stop fighting pain as the enemy and start treating it as a message. Principle 2: resistance creates suffering. There is a difference between pain and suffering. Pain is the raw sensation in the body. Suffering is the story we add on top. For example, asterisk, pain says, my back hurts. Asterisk. Suffering says, this is unbearable. I'll never get better. My life is ruined. Pain says, I feel anxious in my chest. Suffering says, something must be wrong with me. I'll always be broken. Do you see the difference? The sensation itself, while unpleasant, is often manageable. It's our resistance, our fear, our mental spirals that turn discomfort into torment. Buddhist teachings often describe this as the second arrow. The first arrow is the pain itself, unavoidable part of life. The second arrow is self-inflicted, the resistance, the fear, the rejection of what is. When we learn to feel the first arrow without shooting ourselves with the second, something shifts. We may still feel pain, but we no longer drown in suffering. Principle 3. The body needs safety, not force. Think about a frightened child. If you yell at them, force them, ignore them, they only grow more afraid, more resistant. But if you sit gently, offer warmth, listen with patience, the child begins to relax. Your body is the same. When you fight against your symptoms, when you see your body as broken or weak, it tightens, resists, closes. But when you approach it with compassion, with the attitude of, I hear you, I'm here for you, the body softens. It begins to feel safe. And safety is the foundation of healing. The nervous system calms, stress, hormones decrease, energy returns to the processes of repair. Healing does not respond well to force. It responds to kindness. Principle 4. Gratitude transforms the relationship. Most of us, if we're honest, spend more time criticizing our bodies than appreciating them. We complain about weight, wrinkles, aches, weaknesses. We compare ourselves to images of impossible perfection. We treat the body like a stubborn mule, never good enough, never measuring up. But pause for a moment. Feel your heart beating. Feel your lungs breathing. Consider everything your body has done for you, every step, every breath, every moment of survival. Even when you ignored it, even when you hurt it, it kept showing up for you. When you shift from criticism to gratitude, the relationship changes. Instead of a battlefield, your body becomes an ally. Instead of a burden, it becomes a partner. And in that partnership, healing flourishes. Principle 5. Healing is a relationship, not a destination. We often think of healing as a finish line. Once I heal, then I'll be happy. Once I heal, then I'll start living. But this mindset only creates more tension, more pressure. Healing is not a place you arrive at. Healing is a way of relating to yourself day by day, moment by moment. It's in the way you pause to breathe when your chest feels tight. It's in the way you rest without guilt when your body is tired. It's in the way you listen with patience, even when you don't understand. Healing is not about erasing all pain forever. Healing is about learning to walk with your body in friendship, in partnership for the whole journey of your life. Examples in everyday life. Let's bring these principles down to the ground into everyday moments. Asterisk. You wake up with a headache. Instead of immediately reaching for painkillers, you pause. You ask, what is this headache telling me? Am I dehydrated? Did I sleep poorly? Am I holding on to unspoken stress? The pill may still help, but now you're also listening. Asterisk. You feel anxious before a meeting. Instead of suppressing it, you acknowledge, my body feels unsafe. You take 3 deep breaths. Place your hand on your chest and remind yourself, it's okay. I hear you. The anxiety softens. Asterisk. You notice fatigue creeping in each afternoon. Instead of pushing through, you allow yourself 5 minutes of rest. You close your eyes, breathe, and let the body recover. Over time, this small act prevents burnout. These are not dramatic cures. They are simple shifts in relationship. But over months and years, they create profound transformation. The paradox of healing. Here is the paradox. The more we chase healing, the more it runs away. The more we demand that symptoms vanish, the tighter they cling. But when we stop chasing, when we turn toward the body with compassion, when we release the fight, healing begins naturally. It's like sleep. The harder you try to force sleep, the more it escapes you. But when you let go, when you create a safe, quiet space, sleep comes on its own. Healing is the same. Closing this chapter. So the principles of true healing are not complicated. They are in fact beautifully simple. 1. Pain is not the enemy, it's a message. 2. Resistance creates suffering, it is the second arrow. 3. The body needs safety, not force. 4. Gratitude transforms the relationship. 5. Healing is not a destination, it is a relationship. Take a moment to let these principles sink in. Imagine what your life might feel like if you lived by them. What if you stopped seeing pain as betrayal and started seeing it as communication? What if you released resistance and allowed yourself to feel without drowning in stories? What if you treated your body with the same kindness you would offer a dear friend? Perhaps in that vision you glimpse what true healing really means. Not perfection, not the erasure of all discomfort, but a life lived in harmony with yourself, your body, your mind, your heart. And from that harmony, everything else begins to change. We've spoken about the principles of true healing, about pain, as communication, about safety, gratitude, and relationship. But you might be wondering, how do I actually do this? How do I begin listening to my body in daily life? This is where practice comes in. Healing is not only an idea, it's not only an inspiring story. Healing is lived. It's in the choices you make, the moments you pause, the ways you reconnect. The good news is listening to your body does not require expensive tools or years of training. It requires presence, patience, and a willingness to begin exactly where you are. Let us explore some practices, simple yet profound, that can help you turn toward your body with awareness and compassion. Practice 1. The pause of breath. The simplest, most accessible practice is also the most powerful. Breathing. Right now, take a deep breath. Inhale slowly. Exhale gently. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. This is listening. Breath is the bridge between body and mind. When your mind is racing, when stress tightens your muscles, when pain clouds your awareness, returning to the breath anchors you in the present moment. Try this several times a day. Stop whatever you're doing. Place one hand on your chest, one on your belly. Inhale through your nose, feel your belly expand. Exhale slowly through your mouth, feel your belly soften. Ask yourself quietly, what is my body saying right now? Maybe it says I'm tense. Maybe it says I need rest. Maybe it says nothing at all, just breath. The pause of breath is the foundation. Without it, you cannot hear. With it, the conversation with your body begins. Practice 2. The body scan. Another powerful way to listen is through a body scan. Find a quiet place. Lie down or sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Slowly bring your attention to different parts of your body one at a time. Start with your feet. Notice sensations, warmth, coolness, tingling, numbness. Don't judge, just notice. Then move to your legs, your hips, your belly, your chest, your shoulders, your arms, your hands, your neck, your face. As you scan each area, ask gently, what do you need? You might feel tightness in your shoulders. Instead of ignoring it, acknowledge it. I hear you. Thank you for carrying so much. You might feel heaviness in your belly. I sense you. I'm here with you. The body scan transforms vague discomfort into clear awareness. You learn the language of sensation. And over time you begin to notice patterns, the places where tension always hides the emotions that live in certain areas. This is the map your body has been drawing all along. Practice 3. Journaling the body's voice. Sometimes the body speaks in feelings that words can clarify. Journaling is a bridge. Take a notebook. At the top of the page write, "Dear body, what are you trying to tell me?" Then let your hand move freely as if your body were writing back. Don't censor, don't overthink, just write. You may be surprised by what appears. I'm exhausted. Please let me rest. Or I need more play, more laughter. Or even I'm angry you've ignored me. Writing externalizes the inner dialogue. It takes vague sensations and turns them into concrete messages. And when you see those words on the page, you realize the wisdom was inside you all along. Practice 4. Movement as listening. We often think of exercise as pushing the body, running faster, lifting heavier, burning calories. But movement can also be listening. Try this instead of asking, "What workout should I do?" Ask, "How does my body want to move today?" Maybe your body longs to stretch slowly. Maybe it craves a walk outside, feeling the air, the sun. Maybe it wants to dance, to shake, to flow. Movement is a conversation. When you force the body, you shout over it. When you allow the body to guide, you listen. This doesn't mean abandoning discipline or goals. It means balancing them with respect. A runner who listens knows when to rest. A yogi who listens knows when to soften. An athlete who listens knows when to stop before injury. Movement becomes not a punishment, but a celebration. Practice 5. Eating with presence. Food is one of the most direct ways we interact with the body. Yet in modern life, eating is often rushed, distracted, mechanical. We eat in cars, in front of screens, between meetings. To listen through eating, try mindful meals. Before you begin, pause. Look at your food. Smell it. Notice its colors, textures. Take the first bite slowly without distraction. Chew fully. Ask your body, do you want more? Do you need something different? Over time, you'll notice subtle signals, the difference between hunger and craving, between nourishment and habit. You may realize you eat sugar when you're sad, or drink coffee when you're tired instead of resting. Mindful eating is not about strict diets. It's about respect, feeding your body what it truly needs, not just what your habits demand. Practice 6. Rest without guilt. One of the most radical acts in modern Western culture is rest. We live in a society that glorifies productivity, that equates worth with busyness. Rest is often seen as laziness, weakness, failure, and so even when our bodies plead for sleep, we resist. But rest is not luxury. Rest is medicine. Rest is listening. Try giving yourself permission to rest without guilt. Take a nap. Lie down for 10 minutes with no phone, no agenda. Let your body know, I value you more than my to-do list. You may be shocked at how transformative this simple act is. Often fatigue is not only physical, it's the body's protest against being ignored. When you rest, you restore trust. Practice 7. Gratitude rituals. As we saw in the principles, gratitude transforms the relationship. You can make this a daily ritual. Each night before bed, place your hands on your heart. Say quietly, thank you, body, for today. Thank you for walking, for breathing, for carrying me through. Or in the morning as you stretch, say, good morning, my friend. Thank you for waking with me. These rituals may seem small, but imagine what happens when day after day you replace criticism with appreciation. Over time, your body begins to feel like home again. Practice 8. Listening in silence. Finally, perhaps the most profound practice, silence. In silence, without screens, without distractions, without constant noise, the whispers of the body become clear. Sit quietly for 10 minutes a day. Simply notice the heartbeat, the breath, the subtle sensations. At first, it may feel uncomfortable. You may feel restless, even anxious. That's okay. It means the noise is settling and the body's voice is emerging. With time, silence becomes sanctuary. It is here that the deepest messages are heard. Bringing it together. You don't need to practice all of these at once. Choose 1 or 2. Begin gently. The goal is not perfection, it is relationship. Remember, the body is patient. It has been waiting for you to listen for years, perhaps decades. It will welcome even the smallest steps. And over time, you'll notice something subtle but profound. The body, once a source of frustration, becomes a source of wisdom. The pain that once felt like betrayal becomes a guide. The fatigue that once felt like failure becomes an invitation. This is healing in practice, not grand, not dramatic, but steady, faithful, alive. Closing this chapter. So the practices of listening are simple: breath, scanning, journaling, movement, eating, resting, gratitude, silence. They require no special training, no expensive equipment, only willingness, only presence. And perhaps as you try them, you will discover what so many before you have discovered, that the healing you sought outside, in medicines, in doctors, in solutions, was also waiting inside, in the quiet voice of your own body. Listening is the first step. Living from that listening is the journey. And on that journey, your body is not your enemy, not your burden, not your failure. It is your friend, your teacher, your home. When we speak of healing, it's easy to imagine a perfect destination. A day when the pain is gone, the scars erased, the body flawless. But life is rarely so neat. Pain lingers, scars remain, bodies change. If we equate healing with perfection, we set ourselves up for disappointment. True healing is not perfection. True healing is wholeness. Wholeness versus perfection. Perfection is an illusion. It whispers. You'll only be worthy when nothing hurts, when your body looks a certain way, when your past is erased. Wholeness speaks differently. It says, you are already whole, even with your scars, even with your imperfections, even with your pain. Nothing needs to be erased for you to belong. Think of a broken bowl repaired with golden seams in the Japanese art of kintsugi. The cracks are not hidden, they are illuminated. The brokenness becomes part of the beauty. In the same way, your scars, your struggles, your stories are not flaws to erase. They are golden seams that make you who you are. The myth of betrayal. So often we feel that our body betrays us. We get sick, we age, we suffer injuries, and we think, why has my body turned against me? But what if the opposite is true? What if every ache, every wrinkle, every illness is not betrayal but devotion? The body ages because it has carried you faithfully through years of life. It tires because it has worked tirelessly. It breaks down because it has absorbed more stress, more toxins, more demands than any machine could endure. Your body is not your betrayer. It is your witness. It is the living record of everything you have lived through, the joys, the traumas, the loves, the losses. To see the body this way transforms the relationship. Instead of anger, there is compassion. Instead of resentment, gratitude. Instead of shame, respect. Healing as reconnection. If there is one thread running through all we have explored, it is this: healing is not about fixing what is broken. Healing is about remembering what was never broken in the first place. It is about reconnecting with your body, with your feelings, with your breath, with the present moment. So many of us live fragmented lives. Our minds in one place, our bodies in another. Our past haunting us, our future pulling us, our present neglected. Healing gathers these fragments gently, patiently into a sense of wholeness. It says, you are not separate pieces, you are one. The role of suffering. This does not mean suffering disappears. Pain is part of the human condition. To live is to feel. To love is to risk loss. To age is to change. But here lies the paradox. Suffering itself can be a doorway. The migraine that silences you may teach you to speak your truth. The burnout that breaks you may guide you toward balance. The grief that crushes you may open your heart to deeper compassion. Suffering, when listened to, transforms. It becomes teacher instead of tormentor. It becomes path instead of prison. This does not romanticize suffering. No one seeks pain. But when it comes, and it always will, we have a choice: resist and fracture, or listen and grow. Healing in community. Another truth often forgotten: healing is not only personal, it is communal. In Western culture, we glorify independence, self-reliance, the lone warrior who fixes themselves. But the body is relational. It thrives in connection. Healing deepens in the presence of others who see us, hear us, and remind us we are not alone. Think of the way a child calms in the arms of a parent, or the way grief feels lighter when shared with a friend, or how meditation in a group feels stronger than when practiced alone. Your body is not separate from the web of life. To heal is also to belong, to remember that your wholeness is tied to the wholeness of others and to the earth itself. A Western wound, a universal wisdom. Many in the West struggle because we were taught to separate mind from body, body from spirit, self from community. We treated the body as machine, the mind as master, the earth as resource. But ancient wisdom traditions, including Buddhism, remind us of what science is now confirming: there is no separation. Body and mind, self and other, inner and outer, they are not two but one. Healing is remembering this unity. Wholeness is living it.